I don't know about you, but I've noticed a rise in this male loneliness epidemic conversation. And funny enough, the only reason I think that this conversation is bubbling up to the surface again is because women are becoming even more vocal about their disdain towards men and why they are prepared to move forward with a future where they don't center or prioritize men. I just think that men are very scared of that possibility. And so male loneliness is what they use to guilt us into staying with them. Before I dive into my thoughts on this, which I think if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you probably already know what I think about male loneliness. But I want to just say men deserve their loneliness. And when I'm talking about male loneliness, I'm specifically talking about the type of loneliness that happens between straight men and straight women, because that is the bulk of the conversation. I'm not talking about the type of loneliness where men have intra-communal issues with other men or family. Even though I do think that patriarchy and misogyny largely plays a role in that, the specific type of loneliness I'm saying that men deserve is the loneliness that happens between them and women, because that's a version of loneliness that seems to affect men the most, because men clearly cannot live without women, and that's not even sarcasm, that's just plain old facts. When we discuss male loneliness and the ways that men are affected, we also have to pay attention to the ways that women are affected by male loneliness, because remember that as a society, we live symbiotically with each other. So anything that affects men, of course, affects women, and vice versa. Anything that affects women will, of course, affect men. Male loneliness, in my opinion, is self inflicted because of patriarchy, specifically misogyny. Why I say male loneliness is self inflicted is because men do it to themselves all the time. And no, I don't feel sorry for them. When I say I don't feel sorry for men, again, I'm not saying that I believe that men deserve to be homeless or experience psychological distress or starve or be excluded from opportunities to find employment and feel a sense of purpose and belonging within a community. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is men deserve to not be fucked anymore. Men don't deserve sex anymore. Men don't deserve for women to be prioritizing them and giving them intimate access, because they've ruined their chances. I think it's just gone too far now. And I'm not the first person to feel like this. There have been women for yonks discussing this, and they say it takes for something to get to boiling point before change happens, and this pot being boiling, I'm surprised there's still water left in this pot to boil, honestly, because I've witnessed as generations have come and gone, each generation, the women do different things to try and revolt, to try and resist, and to try and meet men where they are. So, there was a time when back in the 70s, which isn't even that long ago, some of our parents were born in the 70s. Back in the 70s, women couldn't even have bank accounts if they were not married to men, because essentially they had to seek permission from men to be able to even manage their own individual finances. So it wasn't until women found ways to revolt and resist in their own ways during that period that women were finally able to have their own bank accounts, whether they were married to men or not. And so when we observe the way the world looks and we see how men prioritize their convenience over our well-being, it's very clear that the planet looks the way it does for a reason. Everything you're seeing is by design, intentional design. Patriarchy is in the fabric of our society. So I don't feel guilt when talking about why I don't feel sorry for men, because have you seen what men have done to the world? Who do you think started the Battle of Hastings in 1066? Why is that such an English thing? Why is it such an English thing to know exactly when it was the Battle of Hastings? Like, if you went to school in the UK, if you was educated in the United Kingdom, then you know about the Battle of Hastings. But I think as well, right, the reason that men are never going to abolish patriarchy is because in order to abolish patriarchy, you will also have to let go of the dominion you have over women. Because the purpose of patriarchy is to assert control over women. So that is exactly why men have not abolished or eradicated patriarchy. That is exactly why misogyny will continue to run rampant in our communities. Whether it's loud misogyny or quiet misogyny, misogyny will always exist because men will continue to reinforce it because they benefit from it. Ask me how I know. Because, listen, if men want to create a solution for something, best believe they'll do that with quickness. If you've been listening to this podcast, then you've probably heard me say this before, but I'm going to have to say it again because context. So, do you know why and how Viagra was created? Do you know what Viagra is? Viagra is an over-the-counter medication that men can take to generate hard-ons, generate and sustain hard-ons. So that's usually used by men who have erectile dysfunction, and that usually affects much older men. And the inception story of Viagra is, how ironic is it that scientists were actually trying to create a painkiller that helps women and people who experience periods to cope with period pain. And somewhere in that process of creating the chemical formulation of this medicine in their experiments, they somehow noticed that at a particular stage in this medication's development, when it was trialed, a side effect was boners. So they were like, what's this? We can create boners? Let's just stop all of the medical advancement right here. Forget that we were making a pill to help people who have periods deal with their pain. Let's just create this for men. I present to you Viagra. And that's literally how Viagra was created, guys. So, women just can't have anything, can we? Someone was trying to help us with the pain we experience with our periods, and then Viagra was the outcome. So men prioritized giving themselves bonus over giving us relief from pain. I could stay here for 3 hours listing all the reasons why I don't feel sorry for men, and maybe by the end of this episode, which don't worry, it's not going to last 3 hours. If you want a 3-hour bender of that, you have to meet me in person because we can do that all day, baby. But if you, by the time this episode ends, think I'm a misandrist, I'm not going to be offended, okay? I'm not offended by people calling me a misandrist. I'm not ashamed of that label. It's not something I'll personally rush to use to describe myself, but if I can't find a better word that day, I might wear misandrist as a t-shirt because it's tongue-in-cheek and it's ironic that misandry exists. I think what's so funny about misandry is that misandry wouldn't exist if misogyny didn't exist. Misandry is a byproduct of misogyny. If you don't know what misandry is on paper, simple layman's terms, the hate of men. So again, I think people try to use accusing women like myself of hating men as a way to dismiss our message, which I find amusing. I find it amusing. No, I find it amusing, and I find it incredibly irritating because I think hate towards your oppressor is supposed to be a healthy thing. I don't know anybody who is supposed to love being oppressed by the same people who try to silence us into continuing to experience our suppression. Meaning that oppressed people have a right to violence. That's not me inciting that we go out there and wage war on men and beat them up in the streets. No, what I'm saying is when I express that oppressed people have a right to violence, that means oppressed people are allowed to hate their oppressor. I think it's fair to hate people that kill you. What do you think? I'll give you a moment to think about that. Wouldn't you agree that it's fair to hate your oppressor? No? Okay. Anyway, when we discuss misandry and it being a byproduct of misogyny, and misandry being the hate towards men, and like I said, I'm not someone who rushes to say that I hate men. I mean, the only reason why I don't feel compelled to say that is because people try to use it as a way to dilute or diminish my points, because they're like, oh, so you hate men, that means anything you say is just going to be from a place of anger rather than from a place of structural disappointment, when actually both things can be true at once. So when people try to accuse me of hating men, I don't agree, I don't disagree. I always say I hate people who reinforce patriarchy, and that's most men. So where's that leave us? Whelp, whelp, whelp. Womp, womp, womp. But yeah, I support all misandrists of the world. I do think that if men really don't like misandry, they should get rid of misogyny, because where there's smoke, there's fire. In this case, misandry is the smoke, patriarchy is the fire. You cannot have smoke without fire. So when people are trying to use calling a woman a misandrist as a way to dismiss her, what you're basically saying is, oh, this person is just angry, don't listen to them. But it's like, I think if you love yourself and you're actually paying attention to what the world around you looks like, you'd be angry too. And I think misandry serves an important function in our society, because not all misandrists operate the same. Whilst not every woman who is angry towards men would describe herself as a misandrist, it still matters to discuss the various ways that misandry presents itself and why we need it. So there is an iconic boss babe ass gang of women in Pakistan. I cannot remember their name, but you can find this information on the internet. There's an incredible boss ass group of women in Pakistan who they all hold baseball bats and they avenge rapists, meaning that they beat up rapists, they beat up men who rape women. If you're not familiar with what's happening in places like Pakistan and India, especially India, where I would argue that that's probably a region of the world where they have the highest rape rates. Guys, being a woman in India is genuinely a life or death situation. First of all, being born as a girl, that can result in you being killed just for being a girl. Like, you don't even get the chance to experience the full infancy experience. They kill you just for being a girl, because of how largely patriarchal that side of the world is. And remember that it's not just India. The whole world is patriarchal, but some regions of the world take it further than others. But the ways that women are viewed in places like India is super extra misogynistic. Not to mention other parts of Asia where they be planting cameras in women's toilets just so they can breach access to women's bodies and look at our bodies while we're peeing. And you mean to tell me that misandry shouldn't exist? You mean to tell me women shouldn't hate men? Women shouldn't be angry at men? There are places in the world, yeah? Now let's move to Africa. Let's slide across the map. Let's move to Africa. Places in the world where children are being married off to men. And you're telling me we shouldn't hate men? There are places in the world right now where female genital mutilation is a recurring cultural practice. If you don't know what female genital mutilation is, that is when they cut off your labia. Sometimes they might even go as far as cutting off your clit. There are women who die from this, whether that's through them bleeding out or catching life-threatening infection. Not to talk of having a mutilated genital body part, which affects your ability to have children. There are places in the world where they sew your vagina shut. This is all to preserve the idea of womanhood that men want to pedestalize for their own gain. That is a direct tenet of patriarchy. And you're saying women shouldn't hate men. We've touched on what's considered the more extreme versions of patriarchy and misogyny as we have traveled through Asia and Africa in this brief part of the conversation. But we still live in a world, whether you are listening to this from a Western part of the world where you have more privilege, you're still going to be encountering misogyny on a daily basis if you're a woman. Whether that's you being given less access to career opportunities because maybe you don't have the genetic favor of having certain features that appease men. Do you know that? That's a whole thing in workplace culture, especially in certain industries. Certain parts of the corporate industry, as a woman, your looks play a huge role in your success. So if you know how to use your beauty to your advantage, then it's going to help you. But if you're not a woman who was born with features that are prioritized as the westernized beauty ideal, you're going to have a hard time climbing the same ladder everyone else is gliding on top of. Again, that's because of misogyny, which is a byproduct of patriarchy, and you're saying we shouldn't hate men. We're living in a world where men will go out of their way to bareback women they don't even like. Those women become pregnant. Those men hold resentment towards those women. They either pressure the woman to have an abortion that they're either not going to pay for, depending on where you live in the world, whether you have to pay for your healthcare or not. An abortion that man is not going to pay for. An abortion that man is not going to support you through because it is a distressing experience to have. An abortion is not, it's not just a walk in the park, guys. Like, that shit hurts, okay? And it's mentally distressing. They ain't gonna support you through that. Not even gonna give you any money to financially support you in your downtime. But they will expect you to have that abortion. They'll bully you into the abortion because they don't want anything to do with you and they don't want that baby that they put inside you. Because a woman cannot get pregnant on her own. Not yet, anyway. Or if they don't force you to have an abortion, then if you do have their child, they walk out on you and that child. Or they try to force being a co-parent, but they're a shit co-parent because they don't want to pay child support. You're telling me we shouldn't hate men. Listen, like I said, I'm not going to sit here for 3 hours listing all the reasons why misandry deserves to exist. If you want that experience, you're going to have to buck me in person and we can chop it up. But what I'm saying is women are allowed to hate men. The stain people try to throw on me by saying, oh, you must hate men. Yes, I hate anybody that murders women. I hate anybody that reinforces patriarchy. I hate anybody that thinks it's okay to marry children off to men. I hate anybody that thinks it's okay to cut women's genitals to preserve men's egos and propaganda. I hate anybody that thinks it's okay to control women. I hate anybody that thinks it's okay to emotionally bully women into prioritizing men's well-being over their own. That's most men, okay? I don't go around looking for the good in men because they don't even be putting their own best foot forward anyway. So why would I be looking? Why do you have to go out of your way to look for the good? That means what you're rummaging past and throwing to the side in order to find the good is largely the bad. I'm sorry, but to me, it's telling when the comeback, the ultimate fire rebuttal people try to come at me with is, but there are some good men. Why are the good men in the minority? Because you're really gonna hear men be like, "No, man, I promise you, there's a few good women out. There's a few women out there who will pander to your emotions. There's a few women out there who will cook you food. There's a few women out there who will tidy up after you when they're your girlfriend. There's a few women out there who will play by your rules because they're so desperate to be someone's girlfriend/wife. There's only a few. Don't worry, I promise you'll find that." Do you think men are running into any issues with finding women that are going to house them and give them shelter? Do you think men are running into issues finding women who are going to make excuses for them? Do you think men are running into issues finding women who are going to accept them as they are, their bummy selves with no prospects, no career, no job, no tangible future? Do you think men are running into issues finding women who will accept them as their bummy selves as they are right now? What was that? Right then. So, yes, I might need to make a t-shirt that says misandrist because I think it's fucking hilarious. And I think it's important to hold hate towards your oppressor. If that's what's going to help you to stay level-headed and not be a goofy and end up procreating with the wrong man, then good. Because, you know, they try to say harboring hate is unhealthy. Well, you know what's actually unhealthy? Harboring love towards people who hate you. Because love is supposed to be unconditional acceptance, right? Love in its purest form, we're taught, is unconditional acceptance and an undying desire to hold and embrace that person in their complete entirety. Straight men don't deserve that. Straight men deserve conditional acceptance. Men should be loved conditionally because men love women conditionally. Have you seen the way that men talk about pregnant women? And I'm not even talking about the whole sexualizing pregnant women because that's a whole different conversation. I'm talking about when you accidentally find yourself on the wrong side of the internet and you come across a picture of a heavily pregnant. I came across this 2 days ago of a woman who was pregnant with twins and her stomach was obviously massive and there were really visible large stretch marks, which is obviously going to happen because her skin is stretching to carry two people inside her body. This is on Twitter. Come and see the comment section full of men being like, see, men should be allowed to cheat. Look at this. Oh, if that was my girl, sorry, but I'm going to have to go to the strip club. Like, just quote tweets and replies full of men just justifying all the reasons that they would cheat on their heavily pregnant partner. And you're saying we shouldn't hate men. I just think that the women who choose to unconditionally love men, you guys, something went wrong in your own evolutionary process along the way. Sorry, but you might have descended from a line of goofies because you're telling me that despite everything that's happening around you, despite the ways that you are personally affected by the machinations of patriarchy, despite the ways that misogyny has slowed down your life and has blocked you from accessing the purpose, desire, and life you deserve to have, you're still choosing to unconditionally accept and love men. I don't like that shit. Do you know what's interesting though? There's this bubbling conversation that's coming to the surface regarding the South Korean 4B movement. If you're not familiar with the South Korean 4B movement, essentially there has been reports of a drop in the birth rate in South Korea. So significant that South Korea is currently holding the record for the lowest birth rate in the world. And there are reports that women in South Korea have largely, for the most part, given up on South Korean men. So much so that South Korea is scrambling to create propaganda to the Western majority of the world through things like Netflix, where they try to position South Korean men as like super desirable through like the K-dramas that they make, because South Korean women are done with them. And this 4B movement essentially is women divesting from procreating with their men, being the men that they share nationality with, and they are seeking other options because South Korean men have clearly, from the existence of this movement, proven themselves to be absolutely useless. And that's not my opinion. That's just what I'm observing from the 4B movement existing in the first place. And, you know, whilst some people have said that the 4B movement isn't the entire reason why the birth rate in South Korea has dropped, you know, it's still a viable conversation to have. Essentially, the missing part of the conversation here is that a large reason why the birth rate in South Korea has dropped is because it's too expensive to have children. And if people can't afford it, then they're less likely to prioritize having kids. But I just think it's interesting to see that South Korea is reporting that they have first grade classrooms empty for the first time. Empty. Do you know what that means? As someone that lives in London, yeah, do you know how early in advance you have to apply to get your child a spot in a school local to your borough because of how condensed London is that you have to compete to get your child a spot in school? Let alone imagining being in a part of the world where you won't have that problem because the classroom that your child will be going into will be empty. Your child has no classmates because the people who should have been having babies around the same time as you, they chose a different life for themselves. That's fucking crazy to me. Good crazy though. So where I'm going with this is, as much as I would love to romanticize the idea of the 4B movement being the entire reason why South Korea's birth rate is dropping. And again, I don't have anything against South Korea. I'm more just talking about I just love the idea of women just choosing to ignore men out of existence and just not have babies with them. As much as I would love to believe that the 4B movement is the entire reason why South Korea's birth rate is dropping. Obviously, it's not the full reason, but it's still happening. There are still women who have chosen to ignore those men out of their existence. Apparently, over in South Korea, the word feminist is considered a dirty word. People aren't as keen or brave or empowered to embrace that label. So I guess they find other ways to channel their feminism non-verbally, i.e. not sleeping with these men. And, I would love to see. I would love to see. You know what? I was going to say I'd love to see a 4B movement happen in the UK, but you lot don't even have the willpower or discipline, so I'm not even going to bother. In any liberation movement, by the way, this doesn't even have to involve sex. In any liberation movement, the cornerstone element that we cannot move forward without is discipline. For you to have consistency, you need to have discipline. For there to be a movement, you need consistency, right? And the ability to trudge through and stay rooted in your cause and focused on your North Star. For any of that to happen, you need discipline. You girls don't even have discipline, bruv. You lot could never. 4B movement, UK could never. 4B movement where you lot be so desperate to have a man in your bed. You could never divest from men. So you see why I don't even push this whole divest from men thing. If there was to be a leader of any UK 4B movement, who do you think the leader's going to be? Who you think it's going to be? Who is going to be your 4B coach? You would have to nominate me, but I'm not even doing that, guys. Listen, you lot don't have the potential. I'm not even trying to be negative here. You lot don't have what it takes. And that's fine, because you know how I know you don't have what it takes? You lot don't even have the self-control to regulate your own emotions. You lot be boohoo crying in front of men about how they treat you. You lot be taking men back at any chance you get. You lot be too emotionally invested in men. You lot be too quick to let men sleep with you. It's a fucking mess. No self-control. Barely any self-worth to claim to your name as women. Desperation and in a hurry to mount on someone's dick. Can't live without a man. Every time you go to the function, one eye is on the music DJ, the other eye are looking for man. You don't know how to just have a good time without men. Everything man. So no, a girl can only dream. But even if there's not going to be no UK based 4B movement, I can do my own. Whilst I don't call it 4B movement, I just call it having self-worth. I think, trust me, if you actually have self-worth, you'll know that sleeping with men is something that you only do if it's improving your life. If you have actual self-worth, you will know that dating men is only just entertainment purposes. It is a form of entertainment. You can't be dating to marry, guys. That doesn't actually make any sense. Dating to marry doesn't make any sense. As a concept, that doesn't make any sense, guys. That's like trying to use watercolor on sugar paper. Do you guys know what sugar paper is? Do you remember being in kindergarten, early grade school, primary school, whatever you guys call it where you're from in the world? Sugar paper Or even let's go with tissue paper, because tissue paper will make this example easier. Forget sugar paper, even though sugar paper is largely very soluble. tissue paper. Tissue paper is very crinkly, thin. It's almost like what you throw into a gift bag to just add some decor and bulk to it. But we used to use tissue paper in school just for experimenting with texture and decoration and color, right? Imagine trying to use watercolor paints on tissue paper. What is going to happen to that tissue paper? It's going to disintegrate, isn't it? Right. So you lot be trying to play a game that you're not an advanced player. Yeah? And I think 4B movement is for advanced players only, because I think what I'm seeing the girlies doing is that the girlies are trying to paint with wet paint on tissue paper, and they're not realizing that your efforts are not working, babe. Like, and what I'm using the tissue paper and watercolor to represent here is, you see that fake manufactured self-esteem that the girls got going on, yeah? Men see through it, because you could try and do hard babe all you like, yeah? And yeah, I've got standards, because I read it somewhere. This is what I'm going to say. I've got standards. But then, like, the way you act just completely unravels and unpicks all your hard work, and now you just look goofy. So, yeah, whilst I support the 4B movement, it would be nice to see it globally take over. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, because women just don't have it. They don't have the self-esteem to have the discipline. And to even have the self-esteem, like, developing self-worth, that's an inside job. If you like, listen to the Sunflower Owl podcast from episode 1 to episode 1950 in years to come, yeah? If you cannot generate your own self-worth, I actually can't help you with that. What I can help you with is, once you've got the self-worth, even if you just got a little iota of it, a little iota, I can help to just enable and encourage it. Because when you're trying to change your mindset, you need to surround yourself with community that represents the thing that you want to embody, because that's what's going to help you reinforce and sustain it. So I just think that a lot of women, where they make a huge mistake, is that they're the only one in their friend group who is trying to elevate their line of thinking. And so you're discussing your ideas with small-minded people. Stop doing that. Stop discussing your standards with women who don't have the self-esteem to do what you're doing. Stop discussing your standards with women who don't know how to leave men behind. Because you're going to feel more isolated and alienated, and you're going to start feeling judged. When actually, what you got to learn how to do is take on some positive diplomacy. You got to take a note out of Libra's book, babe. I'm a Libra rising. If you guys are into astrology, you probably already heard me say this if you've been listening to the Slumflower Hour for a while, but I am a Libra rising. Libra as a sign, astrologically speaking, Libra governs over being fair, seeing both sides, being diplomatic. So it comes across like you're hard to read, because you're trying to see things from both sides. You don't want to offend anyone. You're kind of playing in the middle. It's that lukewarm, annoying ass energy. That's one thing I don't like about Libra as a sign. And I try to avoid embodying that lukewarm energy. I only use the lukewarm energy to my advantage when I don't want people to know what my next move will be. So what I mean by that lukewarm energy is being very like so. And people ask you, so what you been up to? What you been working on? Instead of saying what you've been working on, just say, oh, you know what? I've really taken in an interest in this new thing. Have you seen it? Oh my God, X, just kind of change the topic. Or, speaking specifically about positive diplomacy and how we got to me discussing being a Libra rising, is how I embody positive diplomacy, especially when I'm around women who don't have the guts, self-esteem, nerve, or discipline to put self-worth into action. When they're telling me about their shitty, stupid, useless men they're dealing with, that in my head, I'm like, that could not, that could never be me. But when I'm listening to them talk their shit, I'll be just focusing on the positives, I'll be like, what do you like about him? And then they'll be gushing, oh, he's just so funny and he really gets me, and like the sex is good. I'm like, oh, do you know what? I can't lie, man. The sexual connection is so important, in it. Like, it's so good to just have someone who understands how to eat you out. It's so good to just be with a guy who just knows what to do in it. Like, I just find ways to just talk around it and just focus on the positives, because I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm not better than anyone. Okay. Okay. I'm not better than anyone. If in fact I would argue that you lot are better than me. You lot are better than me. Because I'm way too self-absorbed to be dealing with the shit you lot be telling me that you're experiencing with men. You lot are actually better than me. I'm gonna give it to you. I'll give it to you. No, but jokes aside, I'm not better than anyone. What I would say is, when I come across people doing things that I would not ever do, I try to not knock their approach. I try to not be that person who is trying to come across like I know more than them. In my head, though, what's happening in my head is I'm identifying all the points where I think that's going to go wrong. And it's not me wishing them bad. I want to make that clear. I'm just saying, this is how my mind works, guys. I got a Mars in Virgo. I got a Gemini moon. Okay? Do with that what you will if you know about astrology. Mars in Virgo, moon in Gemini. So when someone's talking their shit, telling me about what they're tolerating with men, on the outside, as a Libra rising, I'm like, wow, that sounds like it really suits you. You sound really happy. Do you know what? I can't lie. A man who knows how to eat the pussy good, who doesn't want that, right? But on the inside, I'm like, it's not that I'm judging. I made that clear. It's not that I'm judging. It's more, I'm observing that and I'm thinking, here's where I think that man's going to have you fucked up. This is the part where I think that's likely to take you back 10 years of progress. And this is at the point when I think you're going to become pissed off with him. This is not going to last, by the way, babe. And what I do is, when I come across people who are doing things that I personally wouldn't do, instead of to tell them that I wouldn't do it, I use their situation as a case study. I know this sounds so horrible. I know this sounds so analytical of me. Guys, I'm a Mars in Virgo, okay? Virgo as a sign astrologically is very judgmental. So whilst I might not externally express my judgment towards people, the judgmental side of me uses other people's situations to learn about exactly why I know I'm right. And the Sagittarius sun has just come out, because I'm a Sagittarius sun. And you know, the sun sign governs how your ego is expressed. So when you're Sagittarius, you think you know everything. You think you're always right. You think you're Madame Socrates, philosopher of all the land. Yes, this is a self-drag. And you know what? I know myself enough to know how to drag myself, but I still know that the things I'm dragging myself about, it has kept me alive and kept me well for this long. So it's clearly working for me. Okay? But as a Sagittarius sun, yes, the ego part of me, the egotistical side of me thinks that I know everything and thinks that I'm right. So when I come across women making decisions that I personally, I wouldn't have that personally, it couldn't be me. When I come across that, I silently observe and I use that person's situation as a case study. And then the Virgo Mars side of me is what actually deals with the data. So when I'm seeing the decisions someone's making, in my head, I'm like, I predict that that's not going to be a good idea. I'm going to wait to see what's going to happen though. Sometimes I'm wrong. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Let's further understand what is happening here. Most times I'm right then. I'm like, see, this is exactly why. And it's validating for me to see that the points that I'm making internally and the choices that I'm making, I know I'm making the right choice. Because when women trying to convince me, talking about someone, so don't you want to have love? Don't you want to have an emotional bond with a man? Girl, I'm not looking for love and an emotional bond. I have love in my life. I'm very loved. I love myself. And that's the most important love you can experience on this planet. No matter how much a man is in love with you, whether he's paying all the bills, giving you money, taking you shopping, investing in your career, showing you off to the world, doing everything you could ever want romantically and more, that's not still going to top the love you have for yourself. Your self-love, that's your job. That's a mandatory. That's a mandatory component in anything you do, right? But for me, it's like, no matter how much a man loves me, yeah, I still love myself though. So when people are like, oh, but so don't you want to feel love? I feel love. I feel love every day. You guys are putting men's love on a pedestal. That's why you think you're missing something. It's really disappointing to actually realize and deep that a man can't love you better than you love yourself. He can enhance the love you have for yourself. He can echo it. He can be the reverb to your sound. But he's not the love itself. He's just there to boost your ego and to add color to your world. That's it. But if he removed the color that he added to your world is still beautiful and vibrant. Okay? So when I see people making certain decisions that I personally wouldn't make, in my head, I'm like, These are my predictions. It's like I'm fucking betting on horses, but I ain't getting no money out of this. I'm just getting insight and proof that I'm on the right course for myself. And I know this sounds so horrible, guys. But the purpose of this podcast is to create a safe space to have these discussions. I'm here discussing with the voices in my head, and I'm letting you know this is how my mind works. And if you want to judge me for that, that's fine. Your judgment will not affect me. I'm still going to be exactly the way I am, unfortunately. Sorry to you for that. But when I come across people making decisions that I would not make, in my head, I'm like, I predict that's going to go wrong. And you're probably going to come back to tell me it went wrong. And when you come back to tell me it went wrong, I'm not going to judge you. I'm just going to hold space for the complexity of your emotions, because I don't think judging women helps the situation. The women aren't making terrible decisions because they want to be terrible. It's because they don't see an alternative for themselves. A lot of women don't have the guts to have self-love and self-worth. There are some women who don't have the tools to love themselves. Like, this is not for everyone. Some women, they spend their whole lives never truly knowing what it's like to have self-acceptance. And that's scary. And that's really, really sad. But for me, it's like, when I come across women doing things that I genuinely wouldn't do, yeah, it's like, baby girl, you don't know it, but I'm vicariously living through you as an experiment. Because once I see that man did exactly what I thought he was going to do, I'm like, yes. Not yes, that like, oh, good, she's going through that, but like, yes, I joined the dots, and I'm right in knowing that this is another thing women should protect themselves from. And that's how I'm able to come to you guys who listen to the Slumflower Hour podcast with all this insight and lived experience and trinkets of knowledge that I have. I'm not someone that is a monk, like certain people who be claiming to be a monk. That shade was very intended. I always found that man very side eye. I'm not gonna say his name, but I'm not someone who's claiming to be this like wise being from the 5000 BC. Nah, babe. Like, I just clocked what the world looked like, and one day I decided to take the road less traveled. And oftentimes, the road less traveled is believing yourself rather than believing men. Most women want to believe men before they believe themselves, and that is their downfall. So, if you're enjoying this conversation, I want to remind you that I've got a Patreon. Did you know that I've got a Patreon? Did you know also that this Patreon is only £10/$10 a month? I have made it a one-tiered system. And this tier is called the disobedient deviants, because the disobedient deviants is our domain on the internet, where we don't have to worry about the girlies and the men in the comment section who be, what about love? This sounds so cold. You must have been hurt before. That's why you think like this. No, over here on the Patreon, we make room to discuss the things that other people would be uncomfortable with. And you know what? I got to a stage where I don't want to be putting everything in people's face, Like, there's certain things that just has to be discussed in a more private forum, and that's what the Patreon is for. So, over on the Patreon, I have a 65-page guide called the Dilemma Manual. And it's a PDF ebook that I created, which you can access for free only if you're on the Patreon, where you can use some of the dilemmas people have anonymously sent me, where I dive deep in essay form into the problems that they've discussed or the difficulties that they're facing, and I'm essentially explaining what I would do if I was them, and some pointers that you can use to get more out of that situation if you're going to stay in it. I also answer your questions. There is a fire group chat going on the Patreon. I love that group chat. It's such a nice place because I just see the women just emboldening each other, supporting each other, encouraging each other, giving each other that push that we need to just stay focused on our goals of finding self-worth beyond and outside of being loved by men. You get to enjoy twice a month mini episodes where I share my musings, my ideas, my rants, my ideologies on any topics that have come to the surface. Plus, you get to enjoy long-form bonus podcast episodes that are not going on the Slumflower Hour podcast, because I just think that there are certain things that are a bit too sticky and too controversial and too scandalous to describe and discuss over on this public forum here on the Slumflower Hour podcast. So if you want to get into the more nittier, grittier side of this convo, patreon.com/the Slumflower is your place. Yeah. I have a workshop series going on at the moment. There is one workshop. I'm working on releasing a few more. I've been recording them in, I don't want to say too much, but I've been recording them in a bunch for you. And through those workshops, you can also access PDF assets to download and use for your own future endeavors, whether that's journaling or having a framework and a structure that you can use to identify what you want to do to just mentally fortify yourself, because we all need that. It's so important to just be happy with your life and accept that you can be happy with your life and still want to improve things. And I also believe in diversifying your sources of information. So my Patreon could be one source of information. Another person's podcast or another person's book can be another source of information. And when you combine and compound all of that information, you get to create your own framework of self-worth. And that matters, man. So if you are considering joining patreon.com/the Slumflower, you are welcome. I'm ready to receive you. And I think you're going to love it here. And straight men are not allowed. Please. I've not clocked any straight men on the Patreon so far. It is a space for people who date men, people who are curious about the world of how women are mentally resisting men's efforts to force us into submission. And I'd like it to stay that way. And so far, doing a pretty good job. So that's patreon.com/the Slumflower. And to continue this conversation about why men deserve their loneliness, I think the really sad thing to accept here for men is that men fear the day that they will become completely irrelevant to women. That's why men be upset when women like myself are expressing my ideas on public forums. Because men cannot live without women. They can't live without our attention. They can't live without us giving them sex. And I specifically use the word giving, because what you're giving men is access to sex, and they cannot access that particular sex without women. They cannot recreate a woman's body without a woman. Do you know how obsessed men are with women that they create blow-up dolls to recreate what it feels like to be inside of us? Do you see women needing to use male blow-up dolls? Where is the market for male blow-up dolls? There's a reason why there isn't a market for male blow-up dolls. Yet there is a thriving market for women blow-up dolls. Who is more obsessed with who? So yes, men are terrified of a world where women will have enough self-esteem to not need them. That's why they will come and tell you that you're going to be lonely with 5 dogs and 9 cats. They don't realize that when men see a woman expressing having self-esteem, so much so that she isn't even dating certain men anymore, and the men she's describing come into the comment section being like, well, you're going to be lonely with 5 cats and dogs. Do not threaten me with peace, young man. Do not threaten me with a good time. So you agree that animals are better company than you. Because for a man's first thoughts when hearing a woman say that she's just too good to date men who can't take care of her, or men who can't make her life easier, or men who don't have no cash, for a man's first thought to be, well, you're going to end up with animals. So that man agrees that animals are a better option than being with a broke man who can't do nothing for you but finish the food in your fridge and complain and make you pay his council taxes. Men be like, oh, you're going to be lonely with cats. That's an oxymoron, my dear. You cannot be lonely and have animals. Do you know that's why support animals exist? There are non-verbal creatures that are better than men. Because my thing is, if you're lugging a broke man around, that's just a support animal, babe. You're better off having an actual rabbit or a cat or a dog. Because at least them creatures there, they can't open their mouth and tell you that they want you to pay their gas bill for them and that they like somebody's breast. At least when you have a cat, you know that cat is going to go and get attention from other neighbors, but it's still your cat. And that cat is still going to choose you. Okay? So if you need men from a place of wanting to have emotional support, because everything for you is emotion, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, you lot that be so bound to your emotions, because everything for you lot is emotions. My emotions. If all you get from men is emotions, Get an animal. Get a support. I'm not even being sarcastic. Get a support animal. And I'm sure if you're on a particular kind of insurance, your insurance can cover that. Get you a support animal. Okay? Get you a support animal that you can travel with and do life with. You don't need a man to be there. If you're somebody who even needs a support animal, that means that any man who's in your life should be making your life you deserve to be bumped up on the list of priority of who would benefit more from a man who will improve your life and make it easier. What's this rubbish? So yes, men are scared that you're not going to need them. That's why they try to tell you that an animal will be what you end up with, because they're subliminally admitting and agreeing that animals are better company than men who can't do anything for you. So yes, men deserve their loneliness and men deserve to be replaced with animals. It's like if you have a man, you have a pet lion, babe. I don't know if lions are safe pets to have when you could just have a fucking Yorkshire Terrier and call it a day. Because in having a pet lion, you acknowledge and accept that one day you're going to get chomped. It's still a lion. It's cuddly and it's huge and it's got a fun mane of hair to play in. It's still a lion though. And that's how I see men. And when I'm talking about men being lions, they don't even embody the traits of lion that men think that they be giving, where, oh, leader and protector. Protecting what? Protecting from what? Men can't even protect women financially and they be reaching their long necks to call themselves protectors and protect from what? These days, men can't even protect women from other men. Men be scared of other men. So much so, they don't call out patriarchy. They don't call out misogyny. So, men don't even deserve the title of protector. Unless they're going out of their way to protect and provide, they don't deserve the title of protector. They are just there as fodder. They are meat that has brain and bone. That's what men are. They are not even good enough to be support animals. Okay? Because it's annoying to me that women are expected to adjust our lives to be with men, but men are not met with that expectation to adjust their lives to be with us. Meaning, when a woman is a high-flying, successful, independent, as you want to call it, full of achievements, ass boss lady, hashtag boss babe, and she wants to date, everyone's going to advise her that, oh, she should just keep her options open and maybe lower her standards and don't be so closed off, because what you should prioritize is having company and a connection. Meaning, if you meet a man who's not doing well, don't expect that man to feel compelled to improve his own achievements and come and meet you up there where he found you. You should lower yourself to be with him so you can have a man. What the fuck is that rubbish? What the fuck is going on, baby? What the fuck is going on, baby? I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. You should expect men to come up and meet you at your level because you're the queen. I don't know, guys. Somewhere along the way, you lot got misled and you lost your self-worth and you were forced to believe that men are some sort of prize. And I can see how it's biting all of you in the nyash. It's really keeping you guys chained and bound to men because you can't even believe that men should come and meet you where you are. You think that, yeah, but he's having a hard time. He said he's working on it. He said this one's my favorite one. He said he's going to. He said he's going to improve. Which one is he's going to? Going to? Some people never go to where they said they're going to go. So why are you listening to a man saying he's going to? Unless it's done, it's not happened, babe. Okay? Sorry to say it in that way, but that's the reality. Okay? Stop listening to I'm going to. Because maybe I'm going to, before you know it, 10 years have flown by. Your time has been wasted. You're resentful, and now you're in that mindset where you're going to stay because you've already been here for a long time. Boo. So when you meet men and they're not doing well enough in their lives, tell them, when your ting blows, come find me. Because men love to use that line, especially the struggling rappers who be like, what, so you don't want to be with a man who's going to blow one day? When you blow, come and find me if I'm still around, bro. I'm not going to be with a man who's struggling. There's already a man who's doing what you've been wanting to do. The thing you said you're going to do, there's a man who's already done it. and he's got the cash to show for it. He's got the lifestyle to show for it. You're angry that women like cash because you don't have it. Because when women say they like big dick, you are happy to hear that because some of you have it. But big dick don't pay bills. Big dick don't make my life easier. Big dick cannot pay for my esthetician appointment. So what you're attracted to when you met me, that cost me a lot of money to look as good as you saw. It actually costs more to look this good barefaced, even though as I'm saying this right now, I'm not barefaced, but how I look when I'm barefaced, it actually costs me more than it looks when I put my makeup on, because the skincare treatments, the skincare products, the lifestyle you have to live to even be able to have the circulation, the blood circulation, the lowered stress levels that will allow for your skin to look as vibrant as it does. That all costs money. It costs money to be mentally well. So when men meet you and you're looking good from the inside out and they want to eat that, they need to contribute to the upkeep of that, or else they can go somewhere else because someone else can afford to. That's why men love it when you say you love a man who's just a good listener. What the fuck, girl? What do you mean a good listener? Do you know who else is a good listener? ChatGPT. Jeff Bezos is a very good listener. He's tapping your phone and your Amazon Kindle and your Amazon Echo Alexa right now. Do you know that? Google is a very good listener. All the tech giants, good listener. Sarcasm aside, though, good listening, is that all you need from a man? Are you guys okay? He has to be a good listener. Because when you're saying a man needs to be a good listener, all they're hearing is you're so used to not even being listened to that you think a man being a good listener is a desirable trait. Men are supposed to be good listeners when they meet you, because the reality is when men are listening to you speak, they're trying to find the weak loopholes in your ideology so they can figure out how they'll sleep with you quickly with the minimal effort required, so they can come and be going after they've knotted inside you and got what they wanted from you. Do you know that? So when you're saying to men, you need to be a good listener, is that all it takes for a man to get inside you, for him to listen to you? Can you hear how bad that sounds? All it takes is for a man to hear the words come out of your mouth and him nod. Do you know, people not... I know how to pretend to be a good listener. Let me teach you a trick. Yeah? All you need to do is repeat the last sentence that the person said, but add it into a question. So it sounds like you've been listening the whole time. Men be doing that all the time. If you want to pretend to be a good listener, use the technique of cherry picking, which is an interview technique where someone is talking and you're trying to figure out how you can extend the conversation or ask them questions based on little information that they've shared, especially if they're not very open or they're a hard to talk to person. You cherry pick. For example, if you hear someone say, on Tuesday, I went to the market and I bought oranges and I went home. You can hear keywords like Tuesday, market, oranges, went home. Okay, oranges. Is orange your favorite fruit? What fruit do you like to eat? Vitamin C is so good for you. How do you take your vitamin C? Oh, went to the market. Do you like markets? Oh my God, I find markets so loud. Have you been to the markets in Marrakesh? Oh my gosh, market experiences around the world are so different, aren't they? Do you like, you can find ways to talk about markets. Or then I went home. Oh, what area do you live in? What was your journey home like? So men be doing that. It's the most basic fucking things they're doing because your requirements of them are so basic. And men love it when your requirements of them are basic, because they can give you the most basic form of that and you're impressed, so they can sleep with you and be going. All men need the most from you is sex. All they think about is sex. Okay, men value sex more than they value money. That's why they pay women big money to sleep with them. You're there being like, he needs to be a good listener. Girl, get up. What do you mean he needs to be a good listener? Is that all it takes for a man to sleep with you? Good listening? Good listening? That reminds me of being a fucking primary school teacher. You did really good listening today, so you're going to get a gold star next to your name. Well done. Well done. Are you going to do good listening tomorrow? Yeah? You know, if you do good listening tomorrow, you get another treat. Yeah? Yeah? Good. Tomorrow we're going to do good listening, okay? Good listening. Good listening. Good listening. Yeah. That's how you lot sound when you're saying that you want a man to do listening to you so that you sleep with him. Bruv. That's why Where women like myself are like, for me to sleep with a man, he needs to be spending bare money on me, sending me money, taking care of me, making me feel good. It boosts up my lifestyle. They hate to hear that because they can't afford it. And they're scared that if more women think like that, these men are going to be sexless. And a man has no life, no purpose outside of him extrapolating sex from a woman, because men do not go out of their way to cultivate an actual fulfilled life outside of seeking women. That's why when a man's life is going wrong, what does he seek? A woman. Instead of to go and seek some purpose, instead of to go and seek some prospects, instead of to go and seek employment, he seeks a woman to go borrow money from, because he knows it's embarrassing to go ask another man. He knows that it's better to ask a woman because women are more likely to say yes, and he can trick that woman into feeling like he's in love with her and she's his soulmate, so she can empty her savings for him. You lot be falling for this shit every damn fucking day, and you want to tell me I shouldn't hate men, when you lot be letting men fucking ravage you, and all they're giving you, dangling it over your head, is the promise of love. Girl, get up, man. Because I remember, yeah, when it was the World Cup 2019, and there was an independent newspaper article that came out saying during England World Cup matches, domestic violence rates increase by 41%. Did you hear what I said, guys? In 2019, an independent newspaper article came out with the headline that during England World Cup matches, domestic violence rates increased by 41%. Meaning, when England loses the football game, women are getting beat. Women are getting beat by their male partners. And I remember during that period, I quote tweeted that article and I said, the world would be a safer place for women if men didn't exist. Come and see uproar. Come and see uproar. I'm like, guys, and that was baby Slumflower back then. That was like 2019. By the way, I don't regret a single thing I've said, you know. I stand by everything I've said, because nothing I've said still compares to men actually murdering women. That's why I support women hating men, because when men are like, oh, so you hate men. Or if I actually hated men and put that into action, I would be sexually assaulting men. I would be creating laws against men having autonomy over their own bodies, i.e., I would be in control of men's reproductive rights. If I actually put hating men into action, I'll be the reason men can't go out at night. If I actually put hating men into action, then I, as a member of the female supremacist majority, would be the reason why men have unequal access to job opportunities, and for every dollar a woman makes, a man would only make half of that. If women actually hated men, we'll be killing men back. If women actually hated men, if we give birth in a hospital and we find out it's a man, we would end the baby's existence, because that's already happening in the world to women. So if women actually hated men, we'll be doing what men are doing to us. So that's why when women say that they want to see men dead, I support them, because there's a difference between a woman saying she wants to see men dead and men actually murdering women. Because what we're seeing is the majority here is that men are actually murdering women. What's the reason women can't go out at night? Is it the wind? Is it the trees? Is it foxes? Or is it men? So, no, I don't feel that fear of people being like, oh, you shouldn't say that because people are going to think you hate men. They're supposed to think I hate men. I think you're supposed to hate people that kill you, guys. So the more we can normalize discussing this and not feel fear to just say it out loud and call the thing what it is, the closer we can get to our own version of liberation. And again, for every woman, liberation will look different. I don't think every woman necessarily needs to hate men. What I think is that every woman needs to find her own way to create her happy ending if a man's going to be in her life, because men shouldn't be in your life just for vibes and giggles. That's what support animals are for, babe. If a man's gonna be in your life for vibes and giggles, he should be your friend. He shouldn't be pressing your breast or fucking you. I'm sorry. That's boo. That's unacceptable, babe. And also, as we draw close to the end of this episode, I also want to talk about this excuse men make about, the reason why men murder women is because they can't express themselves. I think men express themselves every day, babe. Have you seen male podcasters? Have you seen male catcallers? Have you seen men in women's Instagram comments? Have you seen women's DMs? Have you seen men messaging sex workers? Men express themselves on a daily because men express themselves through their actions. Yeah, that's the mistake I think everyone's making. They're expecting men to express like women do. Leave that shit to the side. Men express themselves in the way that they kill us every day. They express their hate for us every day. They kill us, they stalk us, they rape us. They're very expressive. So I don't like that excuse of, oh, but men can't express their feelings. Yes, they can, and they do every time. That's why they beat women. They're clearly telling you they hate you. They hate you. Men do not express themselves. Tell me how I know. Because when they're ready to love bomb you and do their fake PR to get access to your pants, they will tell you everything that they know you want to hear. Men are very expressive people. They are choosing to be conditionally expressive because they know that if they express themselves in a certain way, they'll get a certain outcome. The gaslighters, they are the most expressive men I've met. They're the ones who be like, I don't like the way that you're calling me out on my obviously bad behavior. You're making me want to kill myself. I've been having a hard time too. Yeah. Do you know how many times I tried to kill myself this year? Oh. I know that there's a woman who's experienced that. And that's why women are scared to leave. So that's why when women are in abusive situations, I try to avoid that question of like, why don't you just leave? It's not about just leave, innit? Like, I get it. It's hard because men will create reasons for you to be emotionally trapped with them because they will express to you that if you leave them, they're going to end their life. So they're trying to use fear to keep you around. That's very expressive. So stop falling for this whole thing of men can't express their emotions. Men can express their emotions. They do so every single day. It's just that because they're not writing you sonnets and poems and they're not talking about, oh, I feel like, and my feelings and my emotions, I feel like. No, men are action-based people. Even when they're in a positive place and they're regulated and they're healthy, still look at the actions. Men are their actions. Men are not their words, okay? Men don't love like women do. Men are not responsive to the same stimuli that we're responsive to. There's just a way that things are, innit? That's why if you was to flash your tit at a man, he's going to get a hard on because he's attracted to women, he's a man. If a man flashes his dick at you unsolicited, you're not going to get wet. We have different responses to each other. We're just different, innit? Like, what the fuck? So I don't believe that whole thing of like, oh, men can't express themselves and that's why patriarchy harms men too. No, just stop doing that because like I said at the beginning of this conversation, if patriarchy was inconvenient enough for men, they would have ended it by now. Just like how erectile dysfunction was a huge inconvenience for men and they found a way. They found a way to circumvent that by creating Viagra in the process of actually trying to create a painkiller for people who have periods. So, yeah, I think women get caught in this really scary catch-22 where they feel responsible for men's emotions because the catch-22 here is men can't express themselves. Therefore, I need to help them get it out. And in the process of helping them get it out, they are harming me and abusing me. But because they can't express themselves somehow, I need to see beyond the abuse and just try and see the good in them. That's what keeps you lot stuck because men benefit from the idea that they can't express themselves. Men love it when we believe they can't. They just can't. Oh, he just can't. He just can't. What do you mean he just can't? If he just can't, find somebody else who can. Because you know how they love to say, not all men are the same. Okay, on the one time that we both agree, if not all men are the same, so you agree then that there are men who will not be emotional liabilities in your life. There are men who will actually pick up their fucking boots by the bootstrap and just get on with it. Because no matter how hard patriarchy is, they're never going to endure misogyny. Men are never going to leave the house wondering if they're going to get gang raped by women. Men are going to never leave the house wondering, oh my God, is it safe for me to go for a jog at 1 a.m. at night? What if a woman robs me and then throws my body into a lake? Yikes. Let me stay at home, I guess. Men don't have that issue. And those are only surface level examples, by the way. I could sit here forever flipping through a Rolodex of examples where men are not oppressed by women. So you guys need to stop getting caught out in these arguments with men, because the reality is men would rather debate with women than to just create the change we need to see, because debating is what keeps you stuck. Debating doesn't do anything for the conversation. That's why I'm like, stop debating with men. Just stop. We've rinsed all the arguments. We've addressed every single concept and hypothesis that exists. Stop debating with them and just stop giving them attention if they're not contributing to the solution. If men are not contributing to the solution, don't enter a debate with them. You can't even debate with somebody who hasn't even shared an experience with you. You want to be debating with men about an experience that they'll never live because they are annoyed that you are expressing disdain towards them. Just cut them off. You don't have to attend every debate you're invited to. You don't have to be that girl who comes across as a cool girl, a down-ass girl who, fine, I can take an argument. It's fine. You don't have to be that person. You don't have to be a diplomat of men all the time. It's okay to just leave men to sit in their own vomit and find a way to clean it. Because men benefit from that PR. That, oh, we just can't do it. We just are emotionally immature, I guess. Well, if people are emotionally immature, leave them there. Don't do the opposite and start trying to help them and change them, because that's your time going to waste. You're not getting that time back. And also, sex is the most profound experience a man can have on this planet. That's why they're also desperate for it. That's why they cry and whine when women are talking about not giving them attention, because they're needy and they're losers and they're lonely. And that's why I became a dominatrix, because I realized that men are actually losers. And I would rather engage with a man by using him as a footrest and letting him lick my shoes. And maybe if he's a good enough boy, he can kiss my feet. But to let a man touch my body and lay with a man and let him smell my pussy, that's going to cost money. And if you don't have it, I don't like you. I don't care how good looking you are. I don't care how funny you are. I don't care about any of it. If you don't have what I want, I don't want you. And that's not even a radical enough stance, because if I really wanted to take it up a radical notch, I would completely abstain from men entirely. Entirely. They would only be a wallet to me. That's it. I wouldn't even have them as friends. So if you know me in this period where I still am open to having friendships with men, just enjoy it now, because when I go through my iOS system update in a couple years, I won't even have male friends anymore unless they're financially sustaining me or playing an irreplaceably important cornerstone role in my life. And at that point, you're family. So do with that what you will. And that wraps this episode. Thank you for listening. And if you're offended by anything I discussed in this episode, I would invite you to go and suck your mum and tell her I said hi. See you soon.